Hello, this is the Betamax man here. Now, you are going to have to excuse my crude, terrible drawings, but it's the best I could do for this particular video. I'd already done a video on this, but it's been at least a year, maybe a little longer than that, since I last done a video talking about why the beta format was better than VHS in technical terms and visual terms. You can see what's going on, and these crude drawings are going to explain to you just exactly why the beta format was better. Okay, so first off, we'll start with the VHS, because it just seems like there are so many more people that are interested in this format than they are this one. But this was the competitor, the one that was trying to kick Sony's ass, and we all know JVC did a pretty good job of that. Okay. Now let's explain something. Now, we have a video drawing, a drawing of a video tape, and we have a drawing of how the signals are recorded onto the tape. So the audio track, or also known as the mono audio track, is recorded here at the top of the tape. The control track is recorded at the very bottom, and finally the video signal is recorded as diagonal stripes on the tape. So you can also see a drawing of the tape, and this round thing is the video head, and these are the two tape guides. So the tape wraps around in an M loading design. It looks like an M when it's loaded, and that's why they call it the M load mechanism. So as you can see, the tape is wrapped around the front half of the head. Now, the signal on the beta is very similar. The audio track is recorded at the top, just like with VHS. The control track is recorded at the bottom, just like VHS. And just like VHS, the video signal is recorded in the center. But I want you to notice something. You can see that the diagonal lines are actually longer than VHS, and they're at a little bit more of an angle. Okay, so I know it's kind of hard to tell, but yes, I was trying to demonstrate how much longer the stripe is that's recorded onto the tape. Well, that allows it to put more information on the tape, and the more information, the more detail. The more detail, the better the picture. So you've got a really good idea as to how the signal is recorded onto the tape. And not only is the video head larger than the VHS, it's better. Okay, so basically you've got a U-load mechanism, because it wraps the tape around almost all the way. Not quite, but almost. Total 360 all the way wrapped around is how you could say it. Now, this is why beta had a little bit better picture quality, because the stripes, which is the video signal, is not only, it's longer, and so yes, you're gonna get more information on the tape. The more information, the better the picture. Now, what about the hi-fi audio track? Well, the hi-fi audio track, also known as the FM audio track, is recorded along with the video using the video head. You see, the video head lays down the hi-fi stereo signal, then it lays down the video signal on top of it. Now, not only is this why beta is better because of those longer diagonal stripes, but the tape speed is different. The speed on a beta is faster than the speed in a VHS. Now, we originally had, for the beta format, we originally had the beta 1 speed, also known as X1. Okay? And we had beta 2, also known as X2, or beta 3, also known as X3 tape speeds. Okay? VHS, you had SP, you had LP, and you had EP. There was also one called SLP. Okay, tape speeds. So beta 1, originally there was only one speed, and that was beta 1, and that was 60 minute record speed. VHS originally had SP, which was a 2-hour record speed. Okay. And with beta 1, you had around 250 lines. With VHS's SP speed, you had around 230 lines, which, when VHS introduced HQ, which stood for high quality, increased it to about 240 lines of resolution. So and then beta 2 was downgraded. The tape speed was slowed, and you got 240 lines. Okay, so you had about the same amount of lines of resolution, but the image was a little bit sharper on beta because of how the signal was recorded onto the tape versus VHS. Okay, now the tape speed was still faster. Even in beta 2, the tape speed was still just a hair faster than VHS's SP speed. And the faster the tape moves through the machine, the more tape is used, but the faster the speed, the better the recording. So, beta 1 was obviously about, I'm going to say 2 times as fast as VHS's original SP. But with beta 2, it's not much faster than SP. So it's just a hair faster. And that's the reason why beta is better in technical aspects. This is explaining it to you in a technical way for you guys to understand how beta works, how VHS works, and why beta had a better picture. You know, and so with that being said, this really shows you why. Now, here's another thing that I want to mention. You've always heard of people wondering, well, what if you took because VHS and beta both used half-inch video tape. Inch video tape. Okay, because they both used half-inch videotape, so there's always there's like videos online, there's people that have talked about it, but one of the things that people really talk about, and they really are fascinated with, is this. What if you took the beta tape out of a beta cassette, put it into a VHS cassette, and then played it back on your VHS VCR? What would happen? You would have sound, but you would have no picture. Why is that? Because the signal, the way the signal is laid down is different. The angle is different. And so that's why when you play it in a VHS deck, you hear audio, but you see just white snow. You don't see a picture at all, you just see snow. Because the audio is recorded in the same way, and the control track is actually, well, the control track's not recorded in exactly the same way, but the audio is. So because the audio is almost exactly identical, that's why you can hear sound. Because the audio is almost the same way. Not quite, but it's close enough to where the VHS can pick up the audio. But you'll hear kind of a muffled audio, and the reason why the audio is kind of muffled is because the tape speed is faster in the beta. And so it's also playing it at a little slower speed. So the audio, even though you can hear audio, the audio is not quite right. Because of that aspect, because of that reason. Okay? It's one thing to say beta is better. It's another thing to say beta is better and here's why. This is what I'm trying to show you guys. Here's why. Here's my proof. Here's my evidence. All right here. Okay? So, that's why you have no video if you take a beta tape and put it in the VHS machine. Okay? And vice versa. You can't take you put a VHS in a beta, same result. You're going to have some audio, but you're not going to have any video. In fact, your audio will sound worse if you took a VHS recording and played it back on a beta. Audio is going to be even worse because the audio speed is different. The speed's different. So, okay, now the question is, okay, well, how does hi-fi audio work? Hi-fi stereo. Well, that's what I was saying to you just a couple minutes ago. The hi-fi audio signal is actually recorded on the video signal, And the hi-fi audio is actually recorded first, then the video signal is recorded on top of that. And somehow, the machine can lay down the hi-fi audio and the video, and it can play back both, even though the hi-fi audio was recorded onto that track first. And I don't know all the technical aspects and the technical details of the hi-fi stereo audio. But you did have, like, in the beginning we had Dolby Stereo, which basically what it was is taking the audio track and splitting it into two separate signals. So you now took that audio track and split it down the middle, and you had one audio feeding into the left speaker and another audio track feeding into the right speaker. So I believe the right audio is recorded at the bottom of the audio track, and the left side would be at the top of the audio track. So that's how the Dolby linear stereo worked. And Beta, Beta and VHS both had Dolby Stereo. And this was done in the early 80s, before hi-fi came out. Now, I believe it was 1983 when Sony came out with hi-fi stereo. And then VHS had to copy Sony and come out with their hi-fi stereo, but I believe VHS was 1 year behind on getting hi-fi stereo sound. So it was about a year difference. So 83 for Sony, 84 for JVC was when the hi-fi stereo came out. And the hi-fi stereo really did do a vast improvement in the sound quality, because the hi-fi audio is around 60 decibels, and I think the mono is probably more or less at around anywhere between 20 to 30 decibels. And so that really increased the audio quite a bit. In fact, I don't like watching videotapes unless they have hi-fi stereo. Now, if the movie doesn't have hi-fi stereo, I'm stuck with listening to the mono track. Okay? And they actually used to put a label on the tape, or they would write it in text saying mono compatible, that it was recorded in hi-fi, but it was mono compatible. That's because even though the tape has hi-fi stereo, it still has a mono track that's recorded. So regardless as if there's a hi-fi signal or not, there's still going to be a mono signal recorded onto the tape. So with the hi-fi tapes, they've got a mono signal and a hi-fi signal recorded, and that's why it'll say mono compatible, because even though you're playing that tape back in a VCR that doesn't have hi-fi stereo, it'll still sound decent, because you're still getting you're gonna play back the mono recording. But a lot of times the hi-fi stereo tapes had Dolby stereo recorded in the mono track. So some of them were just mono, but a lot of them did have the Dolby stereo and the hi-fi stereo recorded. So but they're mono compatible, because the mono signal is always being recorded onto the tape regardless of if it's done in hi-fi or not, because the hi-fi signal is done on the video signal portion. So the hi-fi audio is actually called the FM audio track, which gets laid down, then the video gets laid down, and I don't know exactly how that works, and maybe I'll do some research and we'll do another video on that. But as far as audio, now actually you can take a mono recorded tape that's been recorded with mono audio, play it back in a hi-fi stereo machine, and it will sound better than if you played it in the mono VCR. Why is that? Because it's taking the mono audio signal and it's splitting it into two tracks of audio. So even though the audio is mono, the machine still takes it and feeds and splits the signal and feeds it out to both speakers. So you've got both speakers are filled with audio. Pretty cool, huh? Yep, that's what I thought too. So that's why, like, sometimes you'll see tapes that are recorded in hi-fi, it says mono compatible, because in the beginning, people didn't know that hi-fi audio tapes, recorded tapes, could be played back in a non-hi-fi deck. And so that's why they would put that on there, so that people would know that, oh, even though it's got hi-fi stereo recorded on it, it'll still play just fine in my mono VCR. That's probably why they came out with that mono compatible, mentioning that on the tapes. And there's a few tapes that I have, but I don't know what tapes have that on there right offhand, but I do have some tapes that have the mono compatible text on the tape. So I hope that this basically gives you an idea as to why this is basically explaining to you why beta was better. So now you guys know. Now, I know that there are people that say, hey, I played the beta and the VHS, I can't tell a difference. And for some, they can't. But if you were to play beta system and the VHS system, and you played it on two monitors, one monitor for the beta, one monitor for the VHS, and had them the same brand of monitor, the same exact monitor, same model and everything, side by side, you would be able to tell the beta from the VHS. But would it be a drastic change? Who knows? Me personally, I can see the difference in the quality. So let me explain to you where do I see the difference. The picture is sharper. What does that mean if the picture is sharper? That means the picture is clearer. That there is not as much, it's not as fuzzy, or I guess I could say not as grainy as VHS. Also, VHS is very washed out looking. So beta doesn't have that real bad washed out look to it that VHS has. Also, with the colors, the video noise, there's a lot more video noise with VHS than there was beta. What is video noise? Well, you'll see like some certain colors won't, it's kind of a hard thing to describe, but you might see, I call it color bleeding. Color bleeding would probably be the best way to describe it. Not as bad, color bleeding is not as bad on a beta as it is on a VHS. So I would say that the picture is sharper. It's not as washed out. It's not as grainy. It just looks overall better. But sometimes you have to have a trained eye to see the difference. But yes, the similarity it's pretty close, and it can be hard to tell, especially if you're playing it back on a low-end model. You know, if you're playing it on a crappy, if you're playing the beta tape on a really crappy Sanyo 4400, and I'm sorry guys, but the 4400s, they were crap, okay? They didn't have the picture quality that Sony betas did, okay? Because Sanyos were kind of known for their cheapness, you know? They weren't as good, but Sanyo did have some machines that were very, very good picture quality. Sanyo had some machines like, okay, let's say the 7200 and the 7250. Those Sanyos could match Sony's picture quality. So if you gotta play the beta tape on like a Sony, you know, like say SLHF 400 or whatever, you know, just a Sony, and then you can see the difference. Because I hate to say this, but some of the Sanyo beta machines, the picture quality was not as good, and it was more closer to VHS quality than it was beta. With some of the Sanyo models. Not all Sanyo models were created equal. So, yeah. Yeah, my mouth is all dried out. I need something. And, yeah, I'm drinking Mountain Dew because I'm finding it really difficult to find Mellow Yellow again. Before the coronavirus, I could get Mellow Yellow at Fred Meyer's and Safeway, Winco. Then COVID-19 hit and you couldn't get it anymore. And they recently brought Mellow Yellow back to Oregon, and now they're not carrying them anymore. Stores are stopped carrying it again. So the only way for me to get Mellow Yellow right at this point would be to buy it very expensively through eBay or Amazon. And so Mellow Yellow is going to be a soda that I only have once in a while because it's expensive. But Mellow Yellow is better than Mountain Dew, I will say that. Anyway, I hope that this does help you guys. And this does show you, and I hope you understand now, why the beta format was better. You know, now let me go explain some of the tape speeds here. Now I've already explained the tape speeds, but we'll just talk about them. So 1975 beta came out, and you know, you had the beta 1 or X1 speed, which you had 1 hour of record time. So, you know, they had, you know, and the VHS, of course, could do 2 hours, and so, that was why a lot of people went with the VHS, because they could record longer. And then, you know, when they came out with LP, which was the 4-hour speed, now you could tape an entire football game on one cassette. In fact, that was their big thing when they introduced LP, is now we could do 4 hours on a tape. You know, now how did Sony handle this? Well, we already know that Sony lowered the tape speed to beta 2 so they could record 2 hours. But how did they handle VHS's LP? Well, they came out with the beta 3 speed, which kind of only gave the, you know, you can get 3 hours on a tape, you know, versus 2. But then they started making different length tapes so that you could get up to 5 hours. So when VHS came out with EP speed, also known as SLP speed, they could do 6 hours on a tape, and Sony came back and their answer was the L830, which would allow up to 5 hours record time in the beta 3 speed. Now, the very bad problems with the L830 is that they were very thin. The L830s were the thinnest tape stock of the beta tapes, because they had different lengths, but the most popular length beta tape were the L750s. Because with an L750 in the beta 3 speed, you can get 4.5 hours. You still had a better picture with the beta 3 speed than VHS's LP speed, so. But, yeah. And L830, the problem is they were thin. They would wear out prematurely because that tape was so thin, and it didn't take much to make it even thinner and stretch it. And when you've got a really thin tape going around the head that much with several tape guides, I mean, L830 was just too thin. It was just too thin, and it wore out prematurely. You know, and yes, I do have some L830s. The L830s are a lot harder to get, and they're actually a little bit more expensive because they didn't make as many L830s as they did L750s. L750 was the most popular tape length because you got more tape in the cassette, but you still had, the tape was still thick enough to where it would last just as long as the L830s did. So you had a tape that was still good, but yet you can get 4.5 hours. So, but beta topped out at 5 hours in the beta 3 speed on an L830. They had L500s originally. Originally they had K30, which was changed later to an L250, and they had a K60. The K meaning K30 was 30 minutes, K60 was 60 minutes, so 1 hour. So the K60 got renamed L500 later on. So the K30s were L25 250s, and K60 was L500. The K30 was L250. So they had less tape in it. And yes, they did have some odd tape ones, like they had an L125 Now the L750, basically meaning that there was 750 feet in the tape. Now VHS had a T120, which could do 2 hours in SP and 6 hours in SLP. Then they came out with the T160, which was I believe the 8-hour tapes. So you can now record 8 hours in the SLP speed or EP speed. Now, what did these speeds mean? What did SP mean? SP meant super play. LP meant long play. EP meant extended play. Or SLP stood for super long play. So you had long play and super long play, but a lot of the manufacturers called it the EP speed, or extended play. So that's what those symbols mean. And with the beta 1 just meant on an L500, you're only going to get an hour. So I hope this really does help you guys understand as to why beta was better. And this really does explain to you the technical advantages of Sony. Now, what's the main reasons why Sony lost? Okay. One was the record time. 2 was the price. Those were 2 really major things that made people go for the VHS format. Beta was always preaching picture quality, and VHS was always preaching how much time you had on the tape. You know, when they came out with the T60, the T160, and I think they had a T190, which, I mean, VHS actually had a tape that you could record up to 12 hours in the EP speed. You can get 12 hours. But again, the problem with the 12-hour tapes is the tape was very thin. It would wear out prematurely. And the thin tapes for the VHS didn't wear out prematurely as fast as the ones for the beta tapes that were thin. Why? Because there were a lot more tape guides in a beta machine than there are in a VHS. So, you know, I mean, we'll have to do a video on, one day we'll do a video and we'll count how many actual tape guides a beta has versus VHS. Well, VHS pretty much, everybody knows that it only has around 4 tape guides. I would say beta probably has around 8, you know. So the more tape guides, the more stretching you have to do, the more the tape can wear out. Now, one of the things about the Sanyo beta machines that I think were good is that they unthreaded the tape in fast forward or fast rewind. Fast forward or fast rewind, they would unthread the tape. And that really did save on wear and tear of your tape. But it was also always highly recommended that you get a tape rewinder, because they made machines specifically for rewinding videotapes, whether it was the beta format or the VHS. And having a tape rewinder is always highly recommended, because it's always better to have your tape rewound in a tape rewinder than the VCR, because when the VCR is rewinding it, that tape is getting pulled around the head, and it's, you know, but of course the early VHS machines, they didn't wrap the tape around the drum until play was engaged. With the Sonys from the very beginning, as soon as you put the tape in, it automatically loaded the tape around the drum. One of the differences between the two heads of a Beta and a VHS, well, Beta, the head actually turns inside of the drum, and it protrudes, the head protrudes through a slot in the heads. With a VHS, the head moves with the upper drum, so the heads are attached to the upper drum, and that whole upper drum spins on a VHS. But in a Beta, the drum is stationary, meaning the drum does not turn. Only the head inside the drum turns. So that's another thing about the differences between Beta VHS. And, you know, Beta was at the butt of jokes all the time. You know, everybody made fun of the Beta format. But you know what? When it all comes down to the very end, Beta was better. I'm still pissed off that Beta didn't win because it was better. But better isn't always what the consumer wants. Sometimes the consumer doesn't give a shit about quality. Sometimes all they care about is how cheaply they can do it and how much time they could record. So, with all this said and done, I'm going to end the video, and I hope that you guys got something out of this. And hey, if you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, and maybe are you interested in Beta machines and laser discs, subscribe to my channel, because I do not only repairs on Beta machines, but I'm now doing reviews of laser discs and other types of physical media. So I do a lot of physical media reviews. I've been doing a lot more reviews than I have doing repairs. So, but if you want to subscribe, hit that subscribe button. That would be very much appreciated. Don't feel bad if you don't want to subscribe. That's okay. You know, I'm not going to be offended if you don't subscribe. So, I'm just saying, hey, you know, if you'd like to, hit that subscribe. So, anyway, that is it, guys. We are now going to end the video because I have been babbling on for probably almost an hour now. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.